There are individuals who come to be known not only for what they say, but for the certainty with which they say it. Their claims harden into declarations, their declarations into identities, until the line between belief and performance becomes difficult to separate. Around them, a quiet expectation forms that every gesture, every habit will align perfectly with the image they have helped to construct. Most people live with a comfortable spread between what they profess and what they practice, and it passes without much notice. But when a life is placed at the center of attention, even the smallest divergence can take on unusual size, inviting others to measure, compare, and judge. Tonight's entry lingers in that narrow space between principle and exception. It invites a quieter question. How much contradiction can a single conviction hold before it becomes something else entirely?
Leonard was known by many names. Some called him the immovable vegan, others simply referred to him as the vegan warrior. What they all agreed on was his one essential truth. Leonard was a force to be reckoned with. His extraordinary commitment to the vegan lifestyle was marred only by a glaring inconsistency. One single food that seemed to disprove everything he stood for. Leonard, despite his impassioned sermons on the virtues of a plant-based life, had a peculiar weakness: Philly cheesesteaks. But it wasn't just the cheesesteaks. It was a specific kind of cheesesteak, with onion, 2 slices of provolone, 4 white American cheese, half a ladle of whiz, double meat, extra grilled to get a nice char. He claimed, with the gravity of a man discussing ancient scripture, that he was born in Philly and that the cheesesteak was his birthright. To him, it was as sacred as any culinary tradition could be. It was his Achilles heel, and though he knew it contradicted his lofty values, he simply could not break free. At 420 pounds, Leonard had become a spectacle. He didn't walk so much as waddle, but when it came to his chosen event, he was everywhere. The larger the crowd, the more he craved it. He would march in, megaphone in hand, his massive frame practically parting the crowd before him. His belly, a testament to years of indulgence, hung low to the ground as he would lay spread eagle in the center of any gathering. Whether it was a protest, a concert, or a festival, he was there to make his statement. With the megaphone in hand, Leonard would preach for hours, speaking of the benefits of veganism, the horrors of factory farming, and how humanity was on the verge of self-destruction unless the masses embraced his chosen lifestyle. His gift of gab was unparalleled, and it wasn't uncommon for his speeches to last long enough for the crowd to gather entire new opinions on tofu, quinoa, and plant-based protein. The authorities were well acquainted with him. At one of his infamous appearances at the state fair, 12 policemen had arrived with the sole purpose of moving him. They surrounded him, calling for him to leave, but Leonard simply stayed on the ground, eyes closed as if meditating. When they threatened to arrest him, he merely responded, "Arrest a philosopher for speaking truth, a philosophical injustice." It was at that moment, when all else failed, that a nearby crane operator stepped in. The fairground owner, in a mix of frustration and bewilderment, paid for the crane lift, which successfully hoisted Leonard from the ground. Leonard's fame spread, and so did his influence. But it wasn't just admiration that followed him, it was criticism. One fateful day, as Leonard sat in his favorite cheesesteak joint in Philly, enjoying his sandwich with extra meat, a vegan blogger snapped a photo. This seemingly innocuous moment sparked a firestorm online. The immovable vegan, the man who preached purity, had been caught in the act indulging in the very thing he had sworn off. As the video went viral, his phone blew up with messages. "Hypocrite," said one text. "You're a fraud," another one exclaimed. The cruelty of eating meat, especially with such lavish indulgence, was unforgivable in the eyes of many true vegans. Some questioned the very fabric of Leonard's beliefs, while others mocked him for his disgusting betrayal. A once celebrated figure, Leonard was now the punchline to every vegan joke and meme. The pressure mounted as he faced accusations from both sides. Vegans considered him a liar, non-vegans labeled him a joke, and the public eagerly waited to see how he would react. But Leonard was unshaken. At a packed outdoor rally, when the situation reached its peak, he climbed onto the stage, his belly bouncing slightly with each step, and delivered what would go down in history as his most memorable address. "I stand before you," he began, with a deep breath. "Yes, I am a man of contradictions. Yes, I love cheesesteaks. And yes, I am a vegan. A vegan who recognizes that life is not about perfection. It's about the journey, about the choices we make every day. Yes, I eat meat at least once a week, usually 3. A birthright I cannot deny. But that does not erase the impact I have in every other aspect of my life. I fight for veganism. I talk about it because I believe in it. And I encourage others to make better choices. But I am also human. I am allowed my imperfections." The crowd was stunned into silence, some considering his words, others scoffing at the audacity. But Leonard, ever the master of diversion, continued with his signature move, rolling into a deep, dramatic speech about the importance of sustainability, mindfulness, and human imperfection. Before long, people were nodding in agreement, many forgetting the cheesesteak incident entirely. However, not everyone was convinced. A group of vocal vegans stormed the stage, confronting Leonard directly. "You are a phony," they shouted. "You are a liar who has led people astray." Leonard paused, letting the words hit him, before simply smiling. "A man is allowed to have a flaw," he replied, "as long as he remains true to his greater purpose." The crowd erupted in mixed reactions. Some cheered, others jeered. Leonard's contradiction had become both his downfall and his triumph. And though the accusations of hypocrisy only grew, Leonard continued to live by his philosophy. He had become something else, a symbol of imperfection in a world too often obsessed with purity. In the weeks that followed, Leonard's legend expanded. He became a regular fixture at various events, each one seeming to bring a new chapter to his already bizarre saga. At the annual Vegan Food Expo in San Francisco, Leonard had once again pulled his signature stunt. With his megaphone blaring, he laid on the ground, belly up, at the center of the crowd. As he preached the virtues of a cruelty-free life, a well-dressed woman approached him, visibly shaking with fury. "How dare you?" she shouted. "How dare you show up here, eating cheese steaks while spouting about veganism? You're a fraud." Leonard smiled. "It's the imperfections that make us human," he replied. "You see, we are all walking contradictions, striving for a better world while grappling with our weaknesses. I may eat cheesesteaks, but my message of compassion is still valid." The woman, incredulous, sputtered, "But you're not practicing what you preach." "And that," Leonard said with a knowing grin, "is the essence of my point. Progress is not about perfection, but about the willingness to keep moving forward despite our flaws." And then there was the infamous tri-state area cheesesteak incident at the New York Vegan Gala. Leonard had attended the event in his finest vegan-approved attire, but the scent of sizzling meat in the air was too much for him to resist. The gala had celebrated plant-based innovation, but Leonard slipped away to a nearby deli to indulge in his forbidden pleasure. The photos of him devouring his cheesesteak with extra meat were splashed across social media. The backlash was immediate. "You are a joke," a vegan influencer tweeted. "You're nothing but a phony who uses veganism as a gimmick." Leonard's phone rang off the hook, but as always he responded with an air of calm and grace. "I am not perfect," he said in an interview, "but I am committed. I am committed to the cause, to making the world a better place through every small action I take, whether it's advocating for veganism or simply enjoying a cheese steak. We cannot live in a world where we deny our imperfections. Life is messy, and that's okay." In the end, Leonard's contradictions became a part of the very story he told. His flaws, once seen as signs of hypocrisy, were now regarded as part of the larger human struggle. Leonard had found a way to embrace his imperfections without denying them. He became a living reminder that even the most steadfast ideals are often fraught with inconsistencies. The true lesson of Leonard's journey wasn't about choosing between veganism and cheesesteaks. It was about accepting the contradictions within ourselves and finding balance in a world that demands perfection. Perhaps then, the moral of his story was not to strive for purity, but to aim for progress, embracing each step forward despite the inevitable missteps along the way. After all, it is not our flaws that define us, but how we rise above them.